Welcome to Mic'd and Medicated.
And this is our first rodeo.
Yeehaw!
Yeehaw!
Welcome to Mic'd and Medicated, and we have a very special show today. It is our inaugural episode where we have invited somebody else to discuss.
Well, we kind of invited someone else in our bed. It felt like, we were kind of comfortable, the three of us, and now we opened it up.
It does feel really intimate. It does feel really intimate.
Yeah.
It's a foursome. And it's funny, like I agree. And actually, this is the first time we're meeting Erica Koffler. So welcome. And, we've spoken on the phone, but
we should talk about the fact that we met Erica because she slid right into our DMs.
Literally picked you up.
So picked us up. So it does feel intimate. You slid in there and then you're like, we had one call and here you are in the bed.
I work fast.
You work fast. We work fast. We're very slutty when it comes to our podcast, I guess.
Yes, we are. We're very promiscuous. And Erica is the CEO of Spills RX. And today we are going to spill the beans about
Erica and everything she's doing. But we don't want to just know about her business. We're going to get to know who she really is. And I think we've talked about a lot of aspects of our life, but we left out the medicated part. We haven't really discussed our cocktails and when we started taking them, what we're taking. And, so that's exactly what attracted. That's actually why Erica slid into our DMs, because we were talking about the Ozempic obesity epidemic.
Yes. The obesity epidemic. By the way, I'm laughing because it's hard when you bring somebody else into the bed. And I think we're all actually pretty selfish because we haven't let her get a word in edgewise.
I'm just waiting.
But we're ready. We're going to stop talking. I know it's hard, Caroline.
Because Courtney made a good point. We didn't even discuss that it was medicated. That's why you're here. But obviously, we need to up our doses. So, but let's go.
Okay, well,
there you go. Spill the beans, girl.
My name's Erica. Really nice to be here in this bed with you. You guys are great snugglers. I am from Philly by birth, which makes me cool just off the bat, I think. I was diagnosed maybe in college with ADHD, and by maybe diagnosed, I mean someone gave me Ritalin, and I did a lot of work after failing my first semester, and I was like, oh, maybe there's something here. And so I went to my pediatrician that I still went to when I was 19 years old and said, I need some of this. This is helping me. And he just wrote me a prescription. So I never had a formal ADHD diagnosis.
The good old days.
Yeah. You just were like, Doc, can you help me? So my background, I'm a chef. I'm a professional chef by training. My whole life has been in kitchens and working with celebrity chefs. And then I got really involved in YPO stuff. And what I really loved about YPO, because I'm, it's my husband's it's like a business organization. I'm a spouse.
Will you explain what YPO is? Because we also, Caroline over here needed help with what a C-level executive was. Okay,
we can trade.
Yeah, I thought that was a shitty thing, but I don't know why she was bragging about being in the C-suite. Now we know it's CEO. It's a good thing.
So at the end, it's a business organization, global business organization for people who are the presidents of their business before the age of 40. And why is that important? Because when you're 40 or in your 30s, basically, and you're the CEO or the president of something, you have a lot more responsibilities than maybe the guy who might be making more money at you working at Goldman Sachs, but he's not the decision maker. He closes his computer, goes home.
Jason, you're such a slacker.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah. But my husband's an entrepreneur, so I understand. There's no fucking boundaries. It's hell.
The organization was started to create these forums for the members so that you could have a safe place to really talk about the 2% of your life in both directions. I'm cheating on my wife and she just found out, and something you were just so shameful and don't want to talk about.
You can talk about that in YPO?
Oh yeah, you can talk about anything.
Really?
Because it's completely confidential. When you're put into a forum, you make a commitment to the 7 or 8 other people in your group. Nothing, nowhere, never. Which means even if you leave my group, you're beholden to my secrets for the rest of your life. Or otherwise the YPO trolls are going to come kill you. I don't know how it works, but everyone just follows the rules.
Sounds like a cult.
Or
A
like
good
the
cult.
2% amazing. Like I sold my business for $100 million. You're not going to go brag about it maybe to your friends. I mean, now we live in a day and age where it'd be like on the real deal anyway. So that understanding of like wanting people to have more deep, meaningful conversations, wanting to live an authentic life, it did sort of end up speaking to what I'm doing now. You know, when my mother-in-law was diagnosed with cancer, she was like my best friend. She was such a bitch in the beginning. Horrible, didn't invite me on trips or in dinners. And like through the years, we really became like thick as thieves. And she just, you know, thought she had a pain in her side, stage 4 lung cancer.
Jesus.
It was like a horrific moment. And I'm like just want to help. So I start researching Tagrisso, which is this oral chemo, and I can't find it anywhere. Like no one to talk about it. And I'm ending up in Reddit threads and Facebook groups. And I'm like, this seems weird. And I go I'm on Vyvanse now. I've switched, you know, I'm on like grown-up ADHD medicine. And I go to pick it up in my mom and pop shop. And they're like, can you let us know how the generic is? We've got a bunch of people on it and they're struggling. And I'm like, you want me to call you in a week and be like, hey, it's working. Tell everyone else. And it was just this aha moment that we have Yelp for restaurants. We have TripAdvisor for hotels. How do we not have something like SpillRx for pharmaceuticals?
Yeah.
I mean, I think it's so 100% brilliant. And I just had this experience. I really thought there was one generic brand. There was brand and generic, right? Like there was,
right.
You know, that's what I thought. Band-Aid versus like CVS, you know, Band-Aid kind of thing. So I have ADD, anxiety, whatever. I take Adderall, like extended. For the past like few months, I've been like, this is like taking sugar. Shit is not working. I called my doctor. She's like, all right, what is the generic brand you're on? We call it the pharmacy. It had been switched.
Yeah.
And I had to go because, you know, ADD meds are not yet on SpillRx.
Right.
But she literally was on Reddit. And it was like, I was on Lynette, was like the generic brand. And it was like, doesn't work, ineffective. Like, how is this even possible?
Where is the real resource?
Right.
But like,
For a
also,
consumer.
how do people, like, I'm taking these meds and I don't even fucking know. Is it made in India? Is it made in New York? Like, where? And also, I felt better knowing it was not me. It was not working.
Right. That validation that you get from someone else saying, I had this same experience too, like really means something in today's world.
Right. And
well,
then it's too much.
My work knowledge is going to come in handy here. So I worked in pharmaceuticals for over a decade, and then I worked at a biotech startup. And it's so interesting because from the marketing perspective, the like number one objective of pretty much all the work we did, all the content we created was you're not alone. Like help people feel that we see you, others have experienced this, and let's give you the resources so that you can learn, hear, and feel community with people who have walked in your shoes. And I think that what you're doing is so amazing because pharma's not credible. Like it was hard for pharma to do it in a way where people felt like it was authentic, because it was coming from pharma and obviously they had a drug on the market that they wanted you to use.
Right.
So to be able to do it in a way where people from all different medication experiences can come together and share, like I want that. I'm actually kind of surprised that you have such a fine palate. You know,
Well,
obviously.
apparently a generic only has to be 90% the same as brand.
Right. Of the active.
And that 10%. But also we don't know, like this brand, it's called Lanet, you suck. And it was manufactured in India.
It's sort of like why we talked about like the Birkin, like you can spend $2,000 on the fake Birkin or you can have the real Birkin. And clearly I can't tell the difference because I'm on a lot of generic
I want the fucking
medications.
real Birkin.
But Caroline, like she is proving that she really knows
I'm a
the
brand
real
girl
thing.
through and through. Like I called my psychiatrist and I was like, brand only.
yeah.
And my husband's like, well, I don't know if insurance covers it. I was like, fuck it, brand only. But insurance doesn't cover.
Someone did something actually recently, which is like, my conversation with my pharmacist started from the same reason that I said this last generic was crap. I was like, still spinning in circles. Like could not get anything done. So I really was the one that opened that door. But it's like, they'll show you, if you have like 10 Vyvanse, it's like a capsule. Someone did it online once and they lined them all up and they dumped out how much medication. And there was a different amount of medication in the same bottle.
Right. But the
That's
reason why like with a 50 milligram capsule, you can't, like if you want to take like say 25 milligrams, but you can only get 50 milligrams at the pharmacy. The reason you can't open it up and take half is you don't know if you're taking 100% of the product or 100% preservatives or a mix because it's unlike a tablet where if you split a tablet in half,
Right.
you're getting half the
But
medication.
she's saying it wasn't even
but
the
I
same
guess
amount.
my point is it could have just been less preservatives. You know
Right.
what I'm saying?
Oh.
You don't really know.
No,
Like less
this
fill
was-
or whatever.
But I'm also so impressed because like it shows how like I'm not in touch with myself because I feel like
That's not
I don't
true.
know how I feel day to day to be able to like actually pick up on this isn't working for me.
But an SSRI versus a stimulant is really different because a stimulant is like something you feel immediately. You don't have to take it for like 6 weeks. An SSRI you have to take for like 6
right,
weeks.
it
I'm
builds
on-
up in your
yes.
system.
Yes.
this might be
Exactly.
a good place to just pause and like everybody can talk about their cocktails.
Sure. Erica, do you want to talk
Well,
about yours?
I'm a 20 milligram Vyvanse girl in the morning. And I don't know if we're allowed to talk about this, but I'm a weed smoker at night.
Nice.
And I don't know if it has to do with being like such like a high strung, very ADD person. And like,
Yeah, you need an up or a downer.
I need to come down at the end of the night.
I'm curious, like, do you actually smoke it? Do you do gummies? Like
or
what's
you do
your
it in like a
form?
vape.
I have all of the above. The truth of the matter is my 9-year-olds and I, because I have twin 9-year-olds, are actually in a cold war right now over my weed vaping because they find them sometimes and they put them in a bucket. I might have spent $1,000 this month. And I think we're at a really weird juncture in time because I don't smoke cigarettes. I gave up cigarettes in college. As soon as my now husband stopped smoking, I was like, oh God, if he's not smoking, I can't smoke. I don't want to be smelly. Never looked back, never touched tobacco again.
Cold turkey, the most effective way to quit smoking.
The weed is legal. Like, I try to explain to the kids that this, like, it's mom's medicine. It's sort of like how an asthmatic needs an inhaler. But I don't talk about it being weed. I just say it's medicine.
But are you in a cold war because they want you to stop and
Yes.
for them there's shame and stigma?
Yes.
So like, would you be okay if they grew up and smoked pot all the time?
Great question. Obviously not at 9.
Yeah.
I think it might be a little too soon.
Yeah, I would give it like
the
a
truth
6
of the
months.
matter is I don't know. I think anything in moderation I don't have a tremendous problem with. I think in high school, I grew up in the Philadelphia suburbs and we drove around in cars and smoked joints and like looked at Allen Iverson's house. Like we didn't go to parties. We didn't get blackout drunk. Like that was sort of our idea of fun. Like, would I prefer that over what I see my friends' teenage daughters with the drinking, like being hospitalized when they're freshmen in high school?
Oh my God.
I don't know.
By the way, I have a friend who's a doctor and she always says she'd rather her kids smoke pot than drink, binge drink.
Well, binge drinking is pretty scary. I actually drink more now than I did as a high school, college person. Like I didn't want to, it was like that Natalie Holloway time where like she like disappeared.
Oh, yeah.
And I was like, I don't want to lose control. And now I'm like, Class Azul, please bring it up. But my son was like, you don't need a tequila. And I was like, I need a tequila.
I need it because of you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's why I drink now because I have kids.
Yeah.
But it's so interesting how, as a kid, you feel so protective, scared, connected to your parents. And so my father was a 2-pack-a-day smoker. And I credit that to why I've never picked up a cigarette, never been a smoker, because all my friends in college smoked when they drank. And I used to make his life a living hell. Like I would take the Surgeon General's warnings and I would cut them out. I'd put them like on the orange juice container in the refrigerator. I'd put them in his sock drawer. I would bring home the posters from the school nurse and post them above his bed. And like, I remember one day he came in and he was like, he had ripped down like the posters that I covered in the bedroom. And he was like, I'm an adult. I make my own choices. And when you're an adult, you can make your own choices. And it was so deflating because I was like, it came from a place of I care about you. I love
Right.
you. But like you saying to Teddy, like, don't tell me what to do. He was sort of like, I'm the adult here. And
Right. Also, I'm not abusing it. It was like 10 a.m. and Teddy's like, get up, mom. And I'm like, chugging back the Class Azul.
Yeah.
This is like at a restaurant for dinner, like civilized drinking,
But but this is another interesting place to go. It's like you can be civilized and be an alcoholic because it's drinking and you do
I'm
it at
definitely not
dinner
an
and you do it
alcoholic.
socially. But there was always a stigma with smoking pot pre it becoming legal and doing other kinds of
True.
drugs. And now pot is legal. So I'm sort of like evolving my brain even as we're talking. The fact that you're saying your kids, like it's a legal substance, just like having a Casa Azul at night.
Yeah, I think for your kids, it's because now it's like instead of seeing those cigarette posters, like when you go to the pediatrician, it's all the vaping posters.
Yes.
So I think if you were taking gummies or you were smoking it in a different way, I don't think they would feel that way. It's because they see the pen.
Like on Yom Kippur, my daughter says to me, she goes, Mom, I hope you didn't take your edible because you would have broken Yom Kippur. And I'm like, how did we get here? How did we get here?
Yeah.
But this is also
That's pretty
interesting
funny.
because I want to
Wild.
continue and I want to know what everybody else's cocktail is. But like, I'm also curious, do your kids know you're on medication? I take an anti-anxiety medication. I take
So they don't just say your exact dose. No, the pharmacist's not listening.
escitalopram. It's a generic. It's the
Well, you gotta
generic.
Make sure it's not made.
It's the generic of
Lexapro.
Lexapro.
Okay.
And it's changed my life. I spent my entire life an anxious wreck and sort of living in fight or flight. And I felt like every day was just like, I was so tightly wound and, you know, I'd wake up and I'd have to exercise an hour and then I'd go to work and I'd work all day and then I'd come home and I'd be stressed. And I felt like I thought I was doing a good job parenting, but I was parenting the behaviors and not actually like present and emotionally attached and attuned to my kids.
Mm.
And I had a nervous breakdown at 45 and I ended up in a therapist's office and I said, I have the most amazing husband. I have 3 healthy, beautiful children. I have this amazing career and this beautiful life. And I'm an anxious wreck and I can't enjoy it.
Right.
And so what I found out was that it's biological. So I was always a little judgy about taking medicine and sort of, I was like, pull yourself up by your bootstraps. And I didn't even know that you could actually be different than how I was. Like 3 weeks after a meeting, I'd be still like in the shower,
Like
replaying the
ruminating.
conversation.
Sure.
Like, did I say the right thing? Is he mad at me? Should I have said it differently? Could I have said it better? I know Caroline's looking at me like I am an alien because she's
No,
not.
I'm not.
Courtney, I'm looking at you like I so relate.
Yeah,
Right, and
I relate to that also. That's why I have a cocktail. But I've said this so many times, like what you're saying, it's biological. Like, you know, we're Jewish and this is my theory is Darwinism, right? Like the tallest giraffe is the one that survives. In order to be a Jew and survive, you had to be an anxious wreck. You had to be like, shit, we're in the Spanish Inquisition. This is not good. Let's get the fuck out of here.
Right.
You know, that guy Hitler, he's not good. You know, the ones who are like, oh, it's not so bad. Don't worry about it. They're dead.
They're done. Yeah.
So they didn't reproduce. So it is totally biological.
Right.
We are
So
all
just
fucked up. Sorry.
no, I look, and I will say that, like, again, I've also done the work and chopped the wood in terms of talking with a therapist the last 5 years, but my entire life has changed. Like, if I could go back to my 20-year-old self, I don't know why I didn't know to like go find out about medication. I am just more happy. I am more relaxed. I'm able to enjoy my
I love how this is
life.
you relaxed. Because like you're still pretty fucking tightly wound.
Yes, fair enough. And I think I probably have undiagnosed ADD.
No,
and-
I'm diagnosing.
right. So
Right.
Dr. Caroline has diagnosed me, but I don't do
Spills our
anything for that
absence.
yet.
Yeah.
I'm diagnosed, I think, both of everybody.
But I have been very honest with my kids. And so I feel like part of my like journey the last 5 years has also been, I don't know if 20 years ago, if I had been on a medication, I would have sat on a couch telling people I'm on a medication.
I think for me, I probably only in the past few years have talked about the meds that I'm on. Not just when I started an SSRI like 5 years ago, I felt more comfortable, but I felt like there was more of a stigma as a grown up being on ADHD medicine, where I feel like it was sort of a bizarre thing. And I think, you know, because in college, Adderall was so abused, which was a great thing for you because then you realize you have ADD. But
Right.
for a lot of people, it was like people treated it like,
A party drug.
right. Or like it was an advantage. And I needed it because it was making me equal with everybody else. Right. Because I had an actual, it's like a
Like you
diabetic-
thought people might think you were cheating the
Correct.
system if
Yeah,
they knew you
correct.
took it.
Like for me, it's like a diabetic taking insulin. Like I don't have the insulin. I don't produce it. So for someone who doesn't have ADD taking Adderall, it's like taking extra insulin. But people didn't see it that way.
Right.
So I think I've become more comfortable now sharing it because I realize
And what is your cocktail, Caroline?
Adderall, extended milligrams, never from Lynette. I'm going to only try brand now. I didn't fucking know there was a
She
difference.
wants the Birkin of Adderall.
Orange
Yeah.
ones.
I want the blue. Whatever it is. I want
okay.
the original. Take a Paxil, which
Oh,
is
I thought she meant
phenomenal.
like the Hermes orange.
Oh, maybe that's what she meant.
Hermes orange and the Adderall blue.
Paxil, I take some great vitamins, and I like to be a little Klonopin or tequila, or maybe both at night to calm myself down. I had a
Right.
great Holocaust book, which probably
That's an yeah.
Is why
that's an
I need the
interesting way to
Klonopin.
unwind. Yeah.
But wait,
Yeah.
but I'm curious then, why did you never consider smoking weed like Erica? Because that
Because
is what a lot of people do before bed to
I
calm
think
down.
I am like a very totally wild and fun, but straight arrow, and I think
Very straight
I love doctors. I think they're like I revere them, like, and I sound psychotic, but if the doctor doesn't prescribe it to me, I kind of don't want to take it. I'm nervous.
And I think there's some people out there, they don't want to go to the doctors. They don't want to know if they have some kind of label. And so they're trying to get to the same outcome as you by just smoking pot or drinking or doing other things.
Or as my mom said, I smoked weed once, I ate a bag of chips, and I was like, this is not for me. But I was like,
that's amazing. I mean,
yeah.
look,
She was just like,
That's another
I don't
thing.
understand. You guys want to make yourself eat
Yeah.
shit?
Is the munchies real? Like, I
It
feel
is
like
the realest thing I've ever
yes.
experienced in
but
my
how do
life.
you deal
I
with
think I
that
like
and stay
your
so
mom.
fit?
I
Is it the
work
pen?
out. Oh, no. But I will tell you, my dad is also a weed smoker. Now that I'm older, we like blizz together all the time.
What'd you call it, Blizz?
We blizz.
What does
I never
blizz
heard
mean?
that.
Blizz? I don't know. B-L-I-Z-Z.
Is it like being
Blizz?
blissful?
No, Z.
But I know, but it blissful and the z is
You're
like
I don't know.
sleepy time
We
Z's.
call it conferencing. We'll be like, you want a conference? And then we go and we blizz. And
so
so
cute.
he is overweight. I made him go on the medication. He's struggled with sleep apnea. He literally even has to bring his like CPAP on like an airplane, like an overnight
Right.
flight. So he struggles with sleep apnea. He has diabetes in his family and he's like gaining weight. And I'm like, you need to try this medication. So he's going on the medication, but
Which medication?
well, this was his Ozempic pen. He switched to Manjaro,
Okay.
but he's still getting high every night and
Oh, so
eating
you can't lose
Oreos.
weight.
Oh, so
Yeah.
actually the Ozempic doesn't work to combat the munchies.
Correct.
Not if you're getting high.
Gelman, let's get you in here. What's
Yeah.
your
What's your
cocktail?
Well, I will very much relate to you, what you said, Eva, about the stigma and also pulling yourself up by your bootstraps. So I was very resistant to being on any sort of anti-anxiety medication for a long time, much longer than I should have been. And I credit you, Caroline, for really
I'll take the credit.
saying it's like a pebble in your shoe. When you don't realize how uncomfortable it is and then you take it out, you're like, why did I have that pebble in my shoe the whole time?
For me, it was like a boulder or Mount Everest
right.
in my
Like
shoe.
a sword.
Right.
Yeah.
With like plantar fasciitis, but yeah.
Yes, exactly. I'm now on the generic of Cymbalta,
Make sure Lynette didn't manufacture that shit.
totally, which is, I would say, also changed my life. I am just a level, calm person who used to be so riddled with anxiety. And I'm just so thankful that I have it. And if I hadn't had you, Caroline, I would have, thank God that you, Erica, do have Spills RX, because I would have loved to have been able to have a resource of how does this feel?
Right.
Am I going to gain weight? All these things that were sort of going through my head to help me make that decision. I was really scared, honestly, to start something like this because I am so much I'm natural. Like, I don't want to do anything
No,
or
fuck
take
natural.
anything
To,
to
like-
load on the people around me who I loved. I would like really just, it would be really hard on them when I would get so mad, and just have my kids see that was not great either. So it really did change my life. And thank God for you, Caroline, honestly, for
No
being
problem.
that like sounding board, and my other friend, Lindsay Bryan, who really was my sounding board.
It's not fun seeing somebody who's like miserable. You're like, you can get better.
But I think it's scary to feel alone in that decision and that unknown. And like, it was just a really scary decision to make. So,
Well, we're glad you did it because now you're fabulous. And not that you were before, but you're much better.
And can I ask one more question? Because this might go to that. I don't know, Eric, if you know, we talk about this quote, like you live in your head, so you might as well make it nice in there.
Yes.
And I want to credit Kelly Corrigan for that quote. But when I did it and became like a completely new transformed person and felt so great, I remember saying to Doug and my kids, like, aren't I like so amazing now? Like, aren't I relaxed and all this? And like, they just stared at me like,
the same
we don't
person?
notice any difference. And I was like, wait, is like all of the agony
here?
in my head? Like,
Yeah.
I was literally like, what do you mean you don't notice the difference? Like, I was angry that they couldn't see.
Because it's all the stuff that you deal with. You wake up with that voice. You know, it's interesting. Like, we're talking about this, and I think there's so much fear to take anxiety medicine. But when it comes to the Ozempic drugs, I feel like people are like, that's going to make me skinny. Shoot me the fuck up. Like, no one's
Right. People care more about their bodies than their minds.
They really do.
Maybe in New York City.
Yeah.
You know, I think one of the points that you're making, though, which is really important, is like we're talking like for something like Ozempic, it's the stigma of everyone else. For the SSRIs and the anti-anxiety medication, it's the stigma that you've created in your own head. You're going to battle with yourself because it's something that you said you would never do or didn't believe in.
Right.
And you're like, it's much harder to go against yourself than it is to go against society.
Fascinating.
You know?
On the Ozempic,
so true.
because we would love you to break down just like, I feel like I read about all of these generic compounds now being sued. Every time I talk to people, they're on something different. Like a friend will say, my husband loves Mounjaro, or somebody else will be like, I'm just on some generic compound. Is there anything newsworthy or?
Also, did you try it?
I did try it. I
You're very
microdosed.
skinny and fit. So tell us about that.
Thank you. That's just from years of, waking up and working out. For me, I think that's like part of my medicine though. It really calms my mind. And like, that's like my time to like center myself. And I feel good. I feel better when I move my body in the morning.
What's your exercise? I'm just curious.
I actually make up ever since COVID, I used to go to Equinox and do all the classes.
Me too.
And then COVID started. So it's like me and my husband were like alone in the Hamptons and we got a big mirror and I just started getting a timer and would make my own Metcon classes.
Wow.
And now I make them up. My friends come and join me.
I will just say, our psychiatrist,
yeah,
Caroline,
she's amazing. Dr. Lori Puchik, we love you.
Yes, she had me swab side my cheek to figure out which SSRI would work
that's
best
so
for
interesting.
me.
Yeah, genome test. It's amazing.
She did say that in my genetic makeup, working out literally is like taking medicine.
Yeah,
So
you
I
can
thought
have
that
an
was
exercise
really
gene.
interesting.
I want to start with the name is phenomenal.
Oh,
How'd
thank
you
you.
come up with the name?
I have friends that like will even call me when they need to write like an Instagram caption. Like sometimes I'm really good with words. I was like have a writing background and I left this mom and pop pharmacy with the new generic Vyvanse. I took an edible and met my husband for a couples massage. And I'm in this couples massage, like head down in the thing. And my wheels just start spinning between Lori and the cancer and this guy. And I'm like, oh my God. I stop the massage, start Googling pharmaceutical reviews and I'm like, how does this not exist? And I was like, the name would have to have like something like a pill in it or drug or whatever. And I was just, Bill.
Spill the beans.
It all literally came in like
Wow.
1 second. We added the RX because in like the 6 months since we incorporated, someone actually created, it's like a Black-owned content app that's called Spill. But there are a lot of pharmaceutical adjacent companies like BuzzRx and GoodRx that have RX. So it kind of works because it helps.
I like it.
We're spilling on RX.
Yeah.
So it like makes sense. I started microdosing. I think this is like kind of
Microdosing
really
Ozempic.
cool. I started microdosing tirzepatide, which
What's that?
Zepbound is the name brand. Tirzepatide is the active ingredient. So like
Of
Ozempic is like semaglutide. This is a different type of GLP-1. And I went on a very low dose. It was an oral medication. I went on it for a week. You're supposed to obviously take it every day for a month. I went on it because all of the data is showing that these medications reduce inflammation throughout your body. And inflammation is like literally the root of all evil and sickness. I just turned 40 and I was like getting like sciatica when I played paddle with my father-in-law. So it was like, that's weird. Like, am I perimenopausal? And the data with the menopause and perimenopause is like rampant. Also, I was like, you know what? It's like market research at this point that I do it. Like it makes sense. So I took 3 milligrams, which I thought was a microdose. I was so bloated. I felt like, I don't know if any of you took Clomid shots or you looked pregnant. And then it was like, you weren't. So it was even worse. But, and I really felt horrible.
Interesting.
Yeah, I really felt horrible. Obviously, I don't need it. So I stopped taking it. I'm thinking about trying again at like an even lower dose, 1 milligram. And not for anything other than I really do believe in the benefits of decreasing inflammation in my body.
So why does everybody talk about, I feel like people are like, oh, well, it affects your pancreas or like you have no muscle tone, which is bad for your body. Like where a little
I've
more
heard
information.
you can feel depressed. I'm very Ozempic curious, so
I love that. And honestly,
still on it.
Yeah.
one of the reasons why a community like Spill, it makes so much sense for these, is there are so many different side effects. It affects everyone differently. And people are really kind of confounded by their own journeys. So like some people, the muscle mass thing, for example, if you go on these medications and they take away your appetite, you change nothing about your diet and your lifestyle. So when you are hungry, you're still eating McDonald's and you're not moving your body. You lose your muscle. It eats away at your muscle. That's
you
why you're losing
atrophy.
weight.
Right.
Ugh.
You know, like that's just science. It's not that the medicine is eating your muscle. You're having rapid weight loss. If you had rapid weight loss because you just, stopped eating, it'll be the same thing if you're not moving.
Correct.
So a lot of the things that we're reading about are just common sense. Like if you're going to be losing 20 pounds a month, some people can lose on these type of medications, you need to be toning up or else you're going to be flabby as shit.
Right. Okay. So that's where like, I feel like it's not Ozempic face, but it's like the Ozempic ass where I feel like at the gym.
Oh, you see them.
Yeah. And they'll be like, oh, it was a breakup. Or, you know, you're like, you look great. Or be like, oh yeah, I just, you know, stopped eating. No, you took Ozempic. It's fine. Just tell people. You don't have to tell me. I can see your butt.
I was listening to a Mount Sinai podcast and they were talking about
so boring already.
No.
What do you do for fun?
Mount Sinai has fucking podcasts.
They were talking about disordered eating in adolescence. Why don't you just listen?
I'm sorry, because I saw you need that when you said Mount Sinai podcast.
You shut down.
Well, it's certainly not as fun as our podcast.
Yeah.
But anyway, my point is somebody asked the question about Ozempic in adolescence. And this authority on disordered eating said he has seen, which I'm curious to get your take on that, you know, adolescents are taking Ozempic for weight loss, but he has seen only detrimental outcomes in that they take it to lose weight, but when they stop it, they have developed in many cases a disordered eating because the rapid weight loss and the thinking about it. And then all of a sudden, when they achieve their weight loss and they go off, they do not have a healthy relationship with food anymore.
So my take on this, we just wrote an editorial yesterday about kids and GLP-1. So Wegovy and Saxenda are the only two that are approved for ages 12 to 18. The interesting thing is, I would imagine, and I might be wrong, that the kids who are obese, who are going on these medications, probably have a disordered relationship with food to begin with.
Yeah, I would think
so.
That
part, I'm wondering. So now they have a disordered relationship with food post Ozempic, but are they healthier?
Right.
You know, in their bodies, and like. Maybe it's like the same way I would say if you're going to give your child ADHD medicine, it should go in conjunction with some sort of like therapy. It shouldn't just be like, here's the meds, goodbye, good luck. Like maybe let them open the floodgates and start talking about what's, you know, so maybe giving a child this type of medication should be done in conjunction with some sort of like talk therapy relating to their eating. That being said, I had a really interesting conversation at a shiva recently with my friend's daughter. And the daughter is in 4th grade and she's like a bigger girl for her age. And she was talking about how everyone is on ADHD medicine, like in her grade.
Right.
Everyone's on, and she goes, and this one is like half the size of her. And like this other girl had a very similar body to my daughter's friend. And she's saying that now she's basically emaciated for ADHD medicine. And I'm thinking,
well, ADHD medicine, I believe, also kills your appetite.
Oh, it does.
But does it do it for adults?
Yeah.
But are you saying, sorry, I just want to push on this because I do feel like when Caroline talks about how she felt a stigma taking ADD meds as a teenager in high school and college, I have kids at high school, college age, and they all talk about it with each other. They know what meds they're on. And so many kids are on ADD meds. That's my experience too. Are you saying that some kids take it to lose weight?
I'm saying I'm listening to a 9-year-old's brain sort of go through these machinations of my friend who used to be my size is now half the size because she was on ADHD
While they're already
medicine.
Experiencing those types of questions without the meds and their body image. And then you put the meds into it too. That's very tricky. And as a mom of an 8-year-old, that's a little scary. Like I'm always so cognizant not to say anything about weight or food in general.
Oh, me too. It's like the number one
add
no-no.
meds into it that ties to weight loss. That's wild.
I guess what I'm saying is the, you know, super fascinating Mount Sinai podcast is saying that, you know, that the GLP-1 medication is creating disordered eating. And I'm saying to you,
they already had
the
disordered eating.
ADHD medications is taking these kids' appetites away as well. And no one's saying don't give, they're not using disordered eating as a reason why you wouldn't give your kid an ADHD medicine because you want them to get good grades.
Right. So 2 things. One, I have a terrible memory. So I just want to disclosure. Eva may be misstating or inaccurately reporting back from that podcast.
You're telling us you listened to this fascinating podcast that you can't even fucking remember it.
Caroline, when you were my age, can I just tell you, do you know how many times?
I have a really good memory, but I really
But can I tell you how many times I start a book and then I'm like, wait, did I already read this book?
I keep a list on my phone.
I can't keep a list. You reach a point where you like,
I have a whole list, but by the way, I never remember the title of the book I'm reading.
But if you're only reading Holocaust books, the same thing happens every time.
Yeah. No,
like, you know how it ends.
The ending of everybody's also going back. I totally agree with you about the disordered eating. Like a kid who was obese, right, has a very disordered relationship with
clearly.
Food. So now at least they're healthier because they got rid of the inflammation. But I agree, you need a psychiatrist, someone to talk about the behaviors. Like with ADD, the reason it was so successful for me starting in like middle school was I had an amazing tutor who helped teach me executive functioning skills.
Right.
With the medicine. The medicine was the tool for me to be able to apply her teachings.
Well, okay, so let me ask you. So this is
therapist.
every single medication. So basically what pharmaceutical companies acknowledge is it's pill plus plan. And it's usually lifestyle related, diet, exercise, relationships. And so of course, like I think a medication alone is never a silver bullet. But we've been talking about the SSRIs, and I think it's the exact same. To take an SSRI and not be in talk therapy is also like you're trying to solve it without doing the hard work, chopping the wood. But for spills, I'm curious, is your community, do you see that as sort of the support component of the medication? Like, are you thinking that pharmaceutical companies will tell people go to spills or?
Yeah, well, I also think
a pharmacist maybe, right?
It's about, and I agree with you. Doctors are the absolute best, but they don't actually take all the medications we prescribe, and they affect all of us differently. Like maybe your hands are started sweating after Cymbalta, and you're just like, this is weird. Like wanting to go on and be like, I'm on this Cymbalta homepage. Is anyone, or just, you could go on my site and we only do GLP-1s right now. We're going to do mental health next. But it's like being able to validate your experience sort of right away and just connect with real patients. The interesting thing now, and people obviously have recommended this, is that like weed is legal, right? So like weed strains, I guess, or ketamine is like the hottest thing ever.
Ketamine like for horse tranquilizers?
It is, but it's also apparently has antidepressant quality.
Isn't that how Chandler died?
It is. He was getting like injected like large amounts, but
like Michael Jackson?
No,
he was propofol.
I know it was
like
way different, but
that's what you get for a colonoscopy. That's a great drug.
I understand, but Michael Jackson was being given large amounts from a doctor. Are you saying that's what happened to Chandler?
Yes,
with ketamine?
But I think he was like 50 Vicodin a day. So
I think he was introduced to it because ketamine is really popular now in the addiction circles. I actually think GLP-1 is going to take over for that because you're basically replacing one drug with another.
Right. This is going to take away that needing.
Yes. But ketamine has antidepressant properties, and it is now prescribable in like a nasal spray.
Whoa.
Wow.
For depressive people.
Before we wrap us up.
And by the way, we really need to just emphasize our disclaimer. None of us are doctors.
We're not condoning drugs.
We have no idea.
We're the unexpert.
Everybody's cocktail is different.
Yes.
Everybody's brain is different. Like a subway system. They've got different tracks.
If you start paying attention to a lot of these influencers, I happen to pay attention to the GLP-1 space, but it can be whatever your algorithm tells you. All of their captions end up being like, write promo and you can join my support group. They're actually all selling you things, either a coupon to the compound pharmacy that they're working on. They're all actually salespeople.
Right.
By the way, I feel that way on
Would make
Instagram.
them less trustworthy.
I couldn't agree more. I feel that way on Instagram. Every time I see an ad for like, oh my God, this will eliminate your wrinkles under your eyes, I'm always like, oh my God, is this it? Is this the silver bullet?
Partner, and I'm like, oh, you're being
and then they want to sell you something.
That's kind of the problem.
I do have a problem with the pillows. The Instagram ads are all pillow. I bought all these pillows. So, I mean, I do like Instagram ads for pillows.
But that's different.
And Instagram ads different. I'm saying when someone's content is really actually driven. Like, so this girl, the big news in the GLP-1 world this week is this girl, Janelle. She's a big fitness influencer. People were paying her $200 a month for her workout routine.
What?
She admitted last week that she's on a GLP-1, and the internet is mad. Everyone hates her. She's like public enemy number one. But they're like, you're a scam. Like, we've been paying
But do you think she's a scam because you're saying you also have to work out and maybe her body looks
Maybe
good?
she doesn't have Ozempic butt.
I think she's a scam because I guess she's been on it for a period of time. Maybe like.
But it's what you were saying. Like the people out there selling
She
you
should have
fitness are
disclosed
actually on
immediately,
Ozempic.
I'm going to add this to my journey. You know, and then she actually could have had a whole new platform, probably with an audience. But coming out with it after the weight loss, after you're charging people to follow your routine.
It's about authenticity. It always comes back to being real.
I actually,
that's a great way to sort of like wrap.
Yeah, I have one last thing, and then we're going to wrap it up.
I think Gelman is trying to tell us that this is going to be our longest episode ever with good reason.
Wait, I just have one thing that is, I'm going to leave you with a funny comment. Okay. Well, it might not be funny now because I'm building it so up. But I have a kind of a problem with the fat comedians now all on Ozempic.
Yeah.
I kind of feel like they just look deflated and not as funny. Do you think a fat makes being not as fat as a comedian, like, do you think that affects your funny?
Well, I actually always thought that there was a correlation between being fat and being a comedian, because
that's really
if you're if you're really pretty, you don't have to work on your personality as much. But if you're not, you end up building up a great personality.
I guess that's why I didn't do well in stand-up. They were beautiful and fabulous and hot.
Don't take this as a criticism, but I think you're really funny.
But you were chubby as a child, so that's where it came from.
That's true. That's where my great personality came.
By the way, I had a friend growing up. My best friend growing up used to always say, like, I'm the pretty one and you're the, I don't know, maybe she said smart one, or you have the good personality.
That's so annoying.
I do feel like that, like, scarred me a little, but I think the reason I'm awesome too is that I grew up thinking I'm not very pretty, so I better like work hard to be like interesting.
I think you're just hyper.
You're supposed to say I'm beautiful too.
I said it. I said it first. You have headphones on that you can't hear me. I said you were beautiful, and then I said I think you're just hyper. That's why you had a big
I will just add that I think Nikki Glaser is putting the whole theory though about people being funny. I did just
wait, Nikki Glaser.
Oh, she's hot.
She's so hot. She's done her whole entire face. She jokes about how
no, but she wasn't fat before.
No, but she was like not the prettiest.
Yeah, okay.
She's authentic. She's also talked about how she's had eating disorders.
Yes. Okay,
I don't know her.
Does always go.
You don't know Nikki Glaser? Okay,
no.
Oh well, we'll introduce
Nikki Glaser. Where have you lived? Under a rock?
Right, maybe. I mean, I'm still listening to Seinfeld.
Oh, you're right.
Wait, but is Nikki, because I also think there's a correlation between being Jewish and being funny.
Oh, that's
100%
like
true.
God-given.
I mean, okay, you know, we're going to end with, you know, when Robert Williams was getting interviewed in Germany, and they're like, there's not a lot of comedians here, you know? And he's like, did you ever think you killed all the funny people?
That is funny.
Wait, Robin Williams was Jewish?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think he's in the Adam Sandler Hanukkah song.
That's not the point of the joke. The point is that the Germans killed all the fucking funny people.
That is the funniest thing.
That was funny. I don't know if not sure if he's Jewish, but he knew that a lot of Jews are funny and that the Germans.
I get it. It's the best.
All of us. So, but yeah, we have to be funny to cope.
Yeah.
We have to be anxious and funny, and they're related. Anyway, I feel like we don't want you to spill all of your beans because we want to have you back on.
I also feel like Gelman's getting a little anxious that we haven't wrapped.
Is there anything you want to say?
You know me very well.
Sign up to Spill.
Yeah,
we're gonna tell us where to find you.
Okay, so spillrx.com is the website. Right now, we only talk about GLP-1s, either the brand names like Wegovy, Ozempic, Mounjaro, Zepbound, or compound. So you actually can also come onto Spill. We have all the compound companies listed. Like, I don't know what's going to happen there, but for now, if
none
you're a compound
from
girl,
Blanton.
and just let us know your experience. Ask our community questions. The objective is for all of us to just share our authentic journeys and help one another navigate.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. We love you.
I'm so happy to be here. I had the best time.
Yes, and you're definitely coming back, and we loved it too. And I just want to say, like, woo! First time we've brought somebody else on the couch in the bed with us.
Yeah, I think it was good. It started off, we were a little selfish. I think we shared. We were good. Hopefully
you were returning the favor, guys.
Hopefully you were satisfied.
So fun. I loved fun.
This was great.
Yes.
Mic'd and medicated, baby.
Yep. Mic drop.
Thanks for listening to Mic'd and Medicated. We hope you loved listening to us.
But even if you didn't, we have zero shame. So still subscribe to our podcast, leave a comment, and a 5-star review.
And follow us on Instagram and slide into our DMs because they are wide open.
This show was created in New York City and hosted and produced by
Eva Heyman
and Caroline Leventhal. And mic drop.